We spoke with Vanessa Perdomo, host of Bloomberg's Business of Sports podcast, about why prices at Madison Square Garden are so astronomical.
You're going to see fluctuation no matter what on these ticket prices, but everyone did go to StubHub like right away. And, even earlier this week, we saw when pre-sale was happening, Chase did a pre-sale and it was $2,000 opening prices for a pre-sale ticket, which is something that you don't really see ever, right? The problem with, leagues and people, they try to say it's the secondary ticket prices that go super high. Yeah. But these are actually the main ticket prices that are starting really high. And then once you get to the secondary ticket price, it's astronomical. We're seeing tickets up to $80,000. A reporter, had found out that 2 tickets had sold for the court side for $279,000 on StubHub, and that was a confirmed sale.
What do you make of it as somebody who covers this industry? Is this like a strictly New York phenomenon? What does it say just about who's going to games, who fans are in this year 2026?
Well, who's going to the games is extremely wealthy individuals, and obviously if your company loves you that much, you might get some hospitality seats out of the deal. But what we're seeing is tickets prices have increased. It's something we've been talking about a lot when we're covering the World Cup. But this, for the NBA Finals, is a very specific New York thing. Obviously, the Knicks haven't been back in the finals since 1999, so people have been waiting. They're really excited. But last year was actually the most, was the cheapest the finals have been in a really long time. The average for last year was about $1,100 per ticket. I mean, it was Indiana and OKC, so there were 2 of the smaller markets. But even we're seeing this year with the West Coast, all the games outside of MSG, those ticket prices have gone up more than they would have been last year just because the Knicks are in the finals.
You mentioned 1999. I think a lot of us taking a trip down memory lane to those finals back in 1999, the Knicks versus the Spurs. Here we have that matchup once again. When you look at these 2 teams with one another, do the Knicks have a better shot this time around than they did now 20 plus years ago?
It's really hard to say because of Victor Wembanyama is this freak of nature athlete.
He's so big.
He's so good. And obviously with Mitchell Robinson not being at 100%.
Pinky injury,
but he got surgery and he's still playing. So that's obviously a good thing, but it's not going to be the best for his defensive game on Victor Wembanyama. But I do think that they have a better chance. The Knicks are actually favored in this series.
What explains the success of the Knicks this year? I mean, this is a team that I love to watch because they seem, at least at face, so close to one another. Brunson, Towns, Hart. I mean, it's a great crew of players. Could you have foreseen this at the beginning of the season? What has gotten them this far?
I don't think you could have foreseen this at the beginning of this season, and I think that even you didn't foresee this in the beginning of the playoffs, actually. And I think what it took the turn was them coming back for the game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They had the biggest comeback ever in the Eastern Conference Finals. Came back by nearly 20 points with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I think that really drove the team in this playoff run, and it's made them come to the finals. They have so much confidence going into this. I mean, when you go through a sweep like that and you have so much time off, when you go through 2 sweeps, I mean, that really gives you a lot of confidence going into the finals. And I think they know how bad New York wants this. And I don't think that that's wasted on the players. I think Jalen Brunson wants to be the person who brings a championship back to New York.
You're excited. I'm excited. All of New York City is excited about this, including the Dolan family who owns this team. I know that there's been some speculation. They've talked openly about the prospects of maybe spinning off the Knicks, spinning off the Rangers. Talk a bit about the business theory behind that. Why does that make sense for MSG right now?
Well, actually, it makes sense because when you see their value on the market, they're valued at around like $8.8 billion on the market, which their shares have gone up since the Knicks have reached the finals. But the reality is the Knicks themselves are worth about $9.8 billion, and the Rangers are worth about $4 billion on their own. So if you spin them off into their own properties, you're only going to get more money for each, and you're actually going to be able to see what the market values them when the Knicks are doing better on their own. If the Rangers are doing better on their own, you're going to be able to see that value.
These valuations are crazy, or are they? I mean, like, are all teams now kind of in that stratosphere?
No, I mean, the valuations are crazy.
They are,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? The funny thing is the valuation of the Knicks is actually probably lower than what they would go for. Obviously, if they were still together with Madison Square Garden as an entity, you see the Lakers just were sold earlier this year or last year for $10 billion. The Celtics are $6.1 billion. And the Knicks are technically the highest valued team, right? You would think in the NBA. So their valuation is right on the money, I think. Sports valuations have gone up to an astronomical amount that every single owner really has to explore selling off minority stakes at this point if they want to do anything with their stadiums or really increase value.
Got about a minute left, and I got to ask you about the World Cup happening kind of coincident with this. And as we talk about the craziness of ticket prices for the NBA Finals, I mean, World Cup is another level, but I now gather that law enforcement, government's looking into how high some of these ticket prices are.
They're looking into it. I don't know what they're going to be able to do about it. You know, the reality is FIFA set the dynamic ticket pricing the way they did because they came into the U.S. market. It's not something they've ever done before. They did it, and I've talked to FIFA about this. They said, you know, if we didn't do it, it would have been done to us. So why not, you know, them get the money instead of it happen on the secondary ticket market like we're seeing for the finals and other entities. The New York, again, is really reaping the not so much benefits of that. You know, New Yorkers are actually on the other side of this. If you want to go to a game at MetLife Stadium, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars, especially if you want to go to the finals. I do not see a single actual fan being able to go to the World Cup finals.
Vanessa, thank you very much for